and paste it as it is. There is no change here, right? So what it essentially does is it's create a deployment, something in Kubernetes it's called as deployment, and it's going to create a single copy of this particular ping pong application by default, right? So we're going to give this service name as ping pong, and the image, it's a Java-based container image. We're going to get a prompt saying ping pong application as created. Okay.
So everybody uses GitHub or any source control repository. Everybody has used, right?
Yes.
So when you build your final source code version, when you create a build out of it, you tag it with a semantic versioning or some tags, right? So exactly same thing has been done. So you can see that Pavan Kumar 6 is the root, and then you have created an image called ping pong, and then you have tagged it with versions called :p1. So that is the fully qualified name of your image, right? And using that image, you are creating a deployment, right? You want to deploy this application, hence the deployment, and you are giving a name which is ping pong, okay, right? It can be anything. So you are given a name called ping pong, and you are saying, instructing the kubectl, hey, here is the image, please run it for me.
So now what does this image means? And you can ask me a question like where the kubectl is fetching, Kubernetes is fetching this image from, right? By default, Kubernetes fetches this image from Docker registry. So Docker registry is a place where you store your container images. Whatever you build on your local, right, containerize it, you push the image upstream so that you can publicly access it anywhere via internet. By default, Kubernetes pulls the image from Docker registry, so I need not mention docker.io/pavankumar. So Pavan Kumar 6 is my registry name, and ping pong is the container image that I pushed to Docker registry, and I've tagged it with v1. Okay. So now to see the application that was just got created, you can run kubectl get pods. Okay. So this will show the pod which is looking at the which is containing the which is having the container will be shown here. Right. So it says ping pong application, just a single container which is ready, and its status is running. Now what we are trying to do, we need to access this application. We just deployed it, or we need to somehow access this application from our browser or from anywhere from the internet. So we are going to expose this application outside the cluster so we can access it. Right. So we use this command called as an expose deployment. And walk you through what this. Okay. So this ping pong application listens on port 8080 and exposes certain endpoints like /ping, /version, or any all the other API endpoints. So now we are going to expose this deployment as a type node port. In Kubernetes, node port means it's going to open up a port on the worker node so you can access it from outside the cluster. Right. So now that we've exposed the service, we can
So everyone was able to complete till this step.
So we need to write type flag to be able to get the port on the get.
Correct. So here we need to specify Kubernetes, hey, this my application ping pong listens on port 8080. So you map this port 8080 to anything on your node worker node. So worker node or the port on the worker node ranges from 32,000 to 32,700 something. Right.
So when you run your application on your laptop, right, it generally starts on 80 or any port, right? So you immediately go to your browser and say localhost : that port number and access it. So that port is readily available, right? Now when you go to on a very different Linux server, right? So by default there will be few ports open, standard ports like 80 port, 443 for SSL, etc. Right? But this application is running on very different port numbers, right? It may not be open. So you are instructing your Kubernetes to say that, hey, please open this port to access this application.
Okay. One more simple example is if you try to run the same application twice on your laptop, what happens? It says port already binded, right? We need not want that. So each person who is just exposed will have a unique node port, right? There is no conflict here.